There we go, Cathy. How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I am very good, and thank you so much for hopping on and obviously sharing your story. So loads of warm welcomes already. We've got Jenny, Samantha, Jackie saying hi, Cathy, hello. So everyone's jumping on here, and thanks for coming on and putting the time aside for this. So, Cathy, why don't we go back to the very beginning in terms of when you were struggling with your weight, when I suppose you got to that enough is enough stage. And if you could
Mm.
let us know, I suppose, your worst moments or most challenging moments in terms of your weight.
Oh, crikey. I probably have the same story as many of the ladies on the call tonight. My issues started in my early teens, I guess. I was a slightly larger young girl, um, and my mother sent me along to Weight Watchers when I was 14.
Oh my God.
Probably one of the worst things that she could have ever done on hindsight. And that just started a lifetime of yo-yo dieting. She thought she was doing the right thing. It did work, but then when you stop, it all comes back on again, and so on and so forth. I was My worst was during the year that my dad died. I was traveling up and down the country to be with my parents, and living off takeaways. Already was big, but just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So shortly after he passed away, I decided I needed to do something quite drastic. I estimate a hell of a lot, still do. Um, and I joined Lighter Life,
Mm.
and within 5 months had dropped seven
Wow.
stone. Um, and yeah, got the results I wanted, but also got the worst health of my life in the
What
following three
happened?
years. So a year after the gallbladder,
Jeez.
so here we go again, likely story, everybody's done this.
Mm.
Gallbladder needed to be removed. And then a year after the gallbladder, I ended up with, as it transpires, I had diverticulitis, which I didn't know I had, but it caused my bowel to rupture. So I was in hospital for 2 months, having had several operations, and almost had to come away with a bag, a stoma. Fortunately, they managed to prevent that happening. But this was all down to a long time to recover after that. And slowly the weight crept on, crept on, crept on, crept on. And then the biggest catalyst of all for me to actually pull my socks back up and get on with it, do something, but do something properly in the right way, was I became a grandmother in January for the first time. And I want to be around for Finley. So that was the biggest drive for me.
And that's important, Cathy, having that driver and look at the difference in that journey from obviously wanting to be around for him, for Finley, versus you start at 14, you're put to Weight Watchers, your mum obviously meant the best. Obviously, that inhibits your relationship with food. It's to a spiral in terms of your weight. You then do extreme measures like Lighter Life. You lose weight the wrong way by over restricting.
Yeah.
Leads to severe health conditions when, ironically, we want to lose weight to improve our health, not hinder it. And then that could be very life limiting. Of course, it could have if you had a stoma. That would have been horrific if you had that. And there's loads of people here who have like been through this, as in have been through like drastic diets and temporary fixes. And like when your weight was at when you're at your heaviest, like what situations in particular do you find difficult?
Oh, everything, absolutely everything. I'm normally quite a confident person. I manage a large team, and I have to do presentations such as this for my job and things like that. So confidence is not something that I've ever had a problem with in my later life.
Mhm.
But as I got bigger and bigger, I just became more and more reclusive, both at work, um, asking other people to do bits and pieces for me, because being a manager, you can delegate, and not going out so much, keeping myself to myself more, which isn't really me. I'm quite a social person normally, and people started to notice real aspects. Not being able to bend down and pick something up that you dropped on the floor, which I can do now, no problem. Just getting out of the sofa or actually getting out of bed. It was just everything's playing its part, really.
So mobility then, mobility was deteriorating.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what made you feel that we could help?
Because the main thing for me with the program is that it's not food orientated. It's not a diet. It's moving. It's getting your backside out of that seat, getting out of bed in the morning, doing your little workouts, and it all pays off. Obviously, the food has to go hand in hand with that, but the food plan I was given was far more than I would normally eat in a day. So that was amazing. So never ever felt like I was on any kind of diet at all. It's all been for me. It's not the food. It's the doing. It's the mindset and the doing. Get up and doing stuff.
And that's actually 100% psychological. Telling someone what to do and what to eat or what not to eat, that doesn't really touch the sides. It's about helping someone make those, excuse me, a frog in my throat, make someone or help someone make those changes in behaviors, which is behavior change, and how we can do that gradually, and then obviously see that snowball into bigger and bigger accomplishments. And speaking of which, what have you achieved?
Well, I'm 5 months in and I've lost just over 2 stone, which is absolutely amazing. Again, don't feel like I'm on a diet. It's just become so quickly, it's become an everyday way of life for me. But the biggest thing I can do is move more. I'm climbing stairs without panting at the top. I'm actually able to do a squat now. I don't want to talk about lunges. They are my nemesis and they are something to be loathed for eternity. But yeah, the really notice it in my mobility and the exercises that I'm doing, 100%.
And that means you're not embarrassed if you're holding a conversation while going up the stairs.
Nope.
It means that you're not sweaty, perhaps, as well, at work when you're doing these things. It means that you don't feel old before your time. Because a lot of people can feel old. They feel old. They feel like as soon as you start saying, I've had a fall, rather than I fell, we're starting to look like or feel like we're older. And I want people to recognize that there's a difference between chronological age and physiological age. Physiological age can be adapted, changed, and altered by various mechanisms, and then chronological age is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Young at heart.
Young at heart. There we go. There's people in their 70s jumping out of aeroplanes in TSD, so I'm very confident when I say that. But what makes you think it's sustainable? What makes you think this is not going to be a lighter life or a temporary fix?
All the support, definitely the support really helps. I've been quite lucky so far on the journey. I haven't really had any blips, although I do think they're probably on their way. As I lose more weight and get fitter, they will surely come my way, but I've been fortunate enough not to have them. But I am confident that the ladies on the inner circle to pick me up and get me going again.
Absolutely. Let's shout out a few names. Who in the inner circle has been helpful to you in the past?
I'm not. I'm more of a Facebook stalker. I actually sit and read everybody else's posts and say, oh, actually, that's great advice. I really appreciate that. And that resonates with me. And yet that's exactly like me. So it's all of them really, but it's there's quite a few contributors in there who are absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I'm hopeless with names, but I don't contribute very often, but I do read them all.
That's something I want everyone to pay attention to, that if you are brave enough to post something on the inner circle, just because you might not have a big line of comments doesn't mean that you're not helping other people. Because a lot of people do what you do, sit in the background and read and consume all the information. Because if you were to even think about this, like if we've helped over 3,000 women, and if you scroll in the inner circle and you've got hundreds of thousands of comments of strategies they've used to overcome obstacles, if you were to learn 2 things from every single person, Like your knowledge just goes up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's people here who are scared, Cathy, like scared of coming first, scared of self-investment, scared of failure. I actually think fear of failure is by far the biggest hurdle because fear of failure is the root cause of why people don't put themselves first. It's the root cause of why people procrastinate, like you said earlier. So, what would you say to someone who is or has struggled with procrastination in the past and fear of failure?
Oh, well, I still get them every now and again, but I go back to my notepads and some of the tools that I've learned from 54321. That lady's book was hilarious.
Of course.
Go back to that one time and time again. The Miracle Morning wasn't for me, but the other one definitely was, and I'm on to the other one, the third one. I can't remember what it is. It just using the tools, because there's days when you feel fine, and there's days when all those things, procrastination, the fear, just comes whacking you right back in the face again for whatever reason. Could be something minor that's just made your mental sort of ability to keep on track dip, and then you find yourself
Yeah,
fearing everything again.
absolutely. And something I've been working on personally a lot recently is managing my emotions. And the best way of managing your emotions, everybody, is to be aware of them. If you notice that you're getting stressed, like revert back to your breath. Have you started to breathe sharply in short breaths? Start breathing more deeply and slowly. If you find yourself ever getting frustrated or irate, ask yourself, why is it happening? What's the instant fix? And I actually write down my emotions and how I feel quite regularly in the day. And the act of writing them down changes them. And I think that's a really important point that you did as well, Cathy, is you've said that you still get them. You still have these emotions, you still have fear. Because everyone watching this, you're never not going to have fear. Fear is it's a non-negotiable. But the reason as to why you've achieved so much, Cathy, is because in spite of it, you've not lied down to it.
No, and I recognise it now as well, where I didn't before.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially the procrastination.
of course, of course, of course. I think the procrastination is something that you can spot in your language as well. And I'm saying this, but I'm looking in my office now and I see three cardboard boxes. I see a Santa Claus and a Christmas tree. So I'm pretty confident I've been procrastinating on cleaning my office. So I should hold myself to account here. There's a pure catfish, all clean this way, but I'm not going to show the camera that way, so I'm not, you can imagine. But any final words, Cathy, to everyone here who
Oh,
has struggled with fear of failure and procrastination and is scared of failing?
I think on one of the calls, on a call I had with Deborah Hunt, lovely, lovely lady, she just recommended chunking it down. I think they were the words she used, chunking it down. And I remind myself occasionally, chunk it down, Cathy. Don't get you stressed over this. Some mornings when I wake up and I might not have time because of work to do my normal routine for my workout, and I get a little bit panicky, get a little bit scared. Oh my God, this is a slippery slope back down the hill again. And I think, no, Deborah said to chunk it down, and that's what I'm going to do.
I love that. And for everyone watching, chunking it down means you have a goal of doing an assignment and chunk it down to make it more bite size. And the first one could be to create a Google Doc or a Word document and title the assignment, and then perhaps, I don't know, spend 10 minutes Googling. That could be the only thing you want to do for day one. Chunking down the goal or committing to the warm up in a workout, and it's less scary then. Because what happens is we try. Actually, I'm looking at my messy office again. I'm going to get rid of the Santa Claus by next Monday. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to leave him there for 2 more months, and he looks well suited then. So he does. But no, I will. That's why you're chunking it down. But I can't thank you enough, Cathy, for coming on. And again, you sharing the fact that you're still using these strategies and sharing that you still have fear is so important.
Yeah.
And there's so many messages. Floor Hoole says, chunking it down, tackle that anxiety. Deborah Hunt says, I do say it. It helps me all the time. So Deborah shouted out to you. Judith Green, thank you for sharing your story. Eat That Frog, a suggestion from Tina Booth. Sonia Skeeto, thank you, Cathy. There's 940 comments, so best of luck with all of them. Oh, that'd be great. But I want to thank you all. Thank you for coming on. I want
Yes.
to thank everyone else here as well. You can all achieve far more than you possibly think. And we downplay what we can do all the time. We trivialize it, but you're all far more powerful than perhaps you believe right now. And Cathy, you are a heart of that and a cornerstone of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye
Good
bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.